नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्स।
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome all to comprehensive course on Buddhism. This is week 8, session 1. And today we are covering a pretty new section, the way to a fortunate rebirth. This is getting into higher studies in Buddhism. And our topic today is related to giving, that is dana. And Bhante Panyarakkhita, he was also a teacher for us in earlier section, but he's coming back as a teacher, and he will be covering reasons for giving, if people knew the results of giving, the gift of food, and a superior person's gift. So those topics related to dana, that is giving, will be taught upon in today's section. Before we start the session, Bhante, I request Bhante Buddhadatta to please light the candles, and we will start the session, Bhante.
Yes, Bhante.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Bhante, at the beginning of the session, Bhante, I would like to make a Samayachana on behalf of all the participants.
Yes, Bhante.
Making the yachana on behalf of all the participants. Participants, please hold your hand and join me. Okasa vandami bhante dvaratayena maya kattam sabba paradham khamatu me bhante. Dutiyampi okasa vandami bhante dvaratayena maya kattam sabba paradham khamatu me bhante. Tatiyampi okasa vandami bhante dvaratayena maya kattam sabba paradham khamatu me bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Bhante Panyarakkhita, I request you to start the session, and at the beginning, if you could give us some chanting and meditation before you get into the Dhamma Desna, Bhante. That would be very nice, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Mahapasaka Pankaj. I'm so happy to join this Dhamma Sakacha, Dhamma discussion, Dhamma conversation online with you all. And I would like to thank Bhante Buddhadatta for organizing this wonderful online Dhamma Sakacha during this Vasa period. And I would also like to welcome everyone who are participating. So let us come to the topic today. So the topic that I'm giving is dana. It sounds very simple. Dana, you must have heard 100 or 1,000 times. And but it's a very important topic. Though we think that we know about it, but it's a very important topic, especially in Buddhism. So dana plays a very important role. Dana means generosity, giving or sharing. In Hindi, we call it dena, dinna, dena. So it's a dana. Actually, it's an universally recognized basic quality of human beings. We find the practice of dana in all religions, not only in Buddhism. So today we will be discussing about dana from the perspective of Buddhism, from Buddhist point of view, what dana means. So for Buddhists, dana is the very seed of all spiritual development. So we can see the emphasis or stress the Buddha made on dana in the different suttas in the Tipitaka. So whenever Buddha gives a Dhamma talk to a new audience, the Buddha would always start with dana katha, that is the talk on dana. So dana is the first topic of the graduated exposition of Dhamma. So then after talking about the value or the significance of dana, then Buddha would introduce other aspects of Dhamma, such as morality. Then he would tell about Shila Katha, that is talk on morality, benefits of Shila, benefits of practicing Shila, and so on. And then he would tell about the law of karma, then about the benefits of renunciation, and then finally on the Four Noble Truths. So dana, you can see, it is the first katha or the topics that Buddha would teach about to introduce Dhamma to the people. And though dana is very important, but strictly speaking, we don't find dana as a factor of Noble Eightfold Path. We have Samma Ditthi, Samma Sankalpa, Samma Vaca, and so on, but we don't have anything called Samma Dana. So we don't find it, though it is very important factor, but we don't find it as a factor of Noble Eightfold Path, as a part of Ariyatandika Magga, or we don't find it as the prerequisites for enlightenment as Bodhipakya Dhamma. There are 37 factors of enlightenment, which are known as Bodhipakya Dhamma. So we don't find this dana, we don't find dana as Bodhipakya Dhamma also. And the reason I think is because dana, even though it is very important, even though it plays a very important role in our spiritual development, but dana on its own do not or cannot bring about the arising of insight knowledge. It cannot give rise to insight knowledge, dana on its own. So it may work, it may function as a prerequisite or as a part of many factors, or as a basis of spiritual practice, but on its own cannot lead us to enlightenment. And Dana serves as a basis and preparation which supports our entire endeavor to free our mind from defilements. So nevertheless, even though it is not, we don't find dana as enlightenment factor or dana as the Noble Eightfold Path factor, but dana should not be counted as a, it should not be, the importance of dana should not be overlooked or should not be underestimated. The Buddha stressed or emphasized a lot on the importance, value of dana in various ways in different suttas that we find in the Tipitaka. So to speak about the emphasis the Buddha laid on dana, we can find dana as the first three bases of merit. That is punya kiriyavatu, dana, sila, bhavana. So dana comes first as three bases of merit, making merits. Dana, generosity, then comes sila, followed by shila, morality, practice of morality, and development of concentration. Then we find dana as the first perfection, first parami. Out of 10 perfections, we find dana comes first. Is the prerequisite for the attainment of supreme enlightenment of the Buddha. So in our last Dhamma talk, we discussed about the paramis in detail. So among the paramis also, the dana plays a very important role. So it's the perfection, the 10 perfections that is being listed out. Among this list of the 10 perfections, we find dana on the top. So from this, we can understand how important is dana in our spiritual practice. And dana also is an essential attribute of a sappurisa, as a noble person. The qualities of a noble person. So dana is the first and the most important quality of a noble person, sappurisa, followed by saddha, shila, learning, bahusutta, panya, wisdom. So there are 5 qualities of a noble person. So in this also dana plays a very important role, and dana also is one of the 4 ways of benefiting others, which is called sangaha vatu. So these are some of the important roles of dana, which we can find in different suttas. So what we can understand from this is that dana it's a merit in itself, it's a punya, it's a wholesome action, kushala kamma in itself, and it's also as a basis for merits, which means when dana is practiced, it becomes a support, a condition for the development of various other virtues or qualities that is needed for enlightenment. So the amount of merit, if we talk about the dana and its the merit that we accrue from dana, the amount of merit that we gain from dana varies depending on three factors. So what are these three factors? The number one is the quality of the motivation of the donor. The donor's motivation is very important in determining the result of the dana. And second is the quality of the recipient. What is the spiritual quality the recipient of the dana, of the giver, should possess? So that is the second important factor which decides the quality of the dana, or which decides the result of the dana. And the last is the value of the gift of the dana itself. The quality of the motivation of the dana, of the donor, the spiritual quality of the recipient, and the value or the value of the gift, the quality or the size of the gift that you offer. So these are the three factors which decide the kind of dana and its merits. So the motivation is very important factor. So in giving, motivation determines its moral quality. So when we talk about motivation, we must remember that when we give, we should have very important we should remember a very important aspect of motivation, that is joy. When we are giving, we should have this element of joy within us. It is said that we must have joy before giving, while giving, and after giving. And besides joy, we should also have wisdom. So whenever we give dana, it must be associated with knowledge. Panya sahagada. It must be associated with knowledge. That is, so if before giving knowledge too, we should have knowledge of giving before the gift is offered, or while giving, or after giving. So, for example, a child may give without knowledge, give something without knowledge. For example, a child may offer a flower to the Buddha when he or she, the child, sees a mother or father offering a flower to the Buddha. The child may emulate it and may offer it. So that kind of dana may not bear much fruit. So the dana, it should be motivated by, and again, the dana will be more effective if it is spontaneous. So if it is like, if dana is spontaneous and timely, then it is said that it bears more fruit, more punya. If you calculate too much, and if you delay whether to give or not, and if you delay it, then the result of it will also, the result of dana will also be delayed. It will come late to us. So that is important factor that we must remember. The joy the wisdom, and the spontaneity before giving, while giving, and after giving. These three important things that we must remember when we give. So when we talk about giving with wisdom, so we must have understanding about the law of karma. We must have faith in the law of karma and effect, that the gift will produce wholesome results, and giving with awareness. Secondly, one must give with the awareness that both the giver and the receiver are impermanent. And this is important to reflect upon when we give, because in order not to give rise to the sense of I am giving, and so on. So when we reflect, when we are aware of the impermanent aspect of the giver, the gift being given, and also the recipient, so then there's no chance of the I-ness, the sense of I-ness and minus arising in our mind. So when there's no sense of I-ness, minus, there's no sense of arrogance or conceit that I am giving such and such thing to so and so, then the dana becomes very pure, very pure. And while giving, one must also be aware of the purpose of giving. One must be aware of the purpose of giving. We are talking about the role of knowledge and understanding that plays when a gift is given. So giving with the awareness of the purpose of giving. So what should be the purpose of giving? What we aspire for as a result of giving? And the purpose of giving should be nothing less than enlightenment. That is the highest form of motivation. So we are talking about different motivations behind giving here. And giving with the motivation of understanding about the law of karma, giving with the understanding of the impermanence of the giver, the gift, and the receiver, and giving with the understanding or awareness about the purpose of giving, that is enlightenment, which is the highest form of motivation. Because one may give for different reasons, for different purpose. So to aspire for enlightenment by making a wish that may, by the power of this giving, by the power of this merit, act of merit of giving, may I attain enlightenment. That is the highest form of motivation. So every time we make a gift, every time we offer something, every time we practice generosity, we should always aspire for the highest goal, that is enlightenment. And the rest of the things, like the rest of the results as a result of giving, will come on their own. So we don't have to aspire for them. When we are aspiring for the highest goal, that is enlightenment, then the worldly benefits, the worldly gains as a result of dana, like ayu, vana, sukham, balam, like the longevity, beauty, happiness, strength, prosperity, good rebirth, all this will come on their own as byproducts. So we should aspire for the highest goal. And we don't have to worry about other worldly benefits. They will come on their own. But if you aspire for the worldly benefits and don't aspire for enlightenment, then there is chance that we may get stuck with the samsara, and we may not be able to get out from samsara. So that is the danger if you don't have this clear understanding about the purpose of giving. I hope it is clear. So now, so when we have joy, and when we have understanding before, while, and after giving a gift, then there's no chance of, there's no way that we may feel bad about giving, or feel, regretful about giving, or remorse about for giving something to someone. There was a man, let me share you a story. There was a man in one of the, this is a story in one of the previous Buddhas, lifetime of the previous Buddhas. So there was a very rich man, he was a Brahmin. It said that he was a Brahmin, and he was quite rich. And one day, a Pacheka Buddha came to his house. A Pacheka Buddha, a private Buddha, we discussed about that in our last Dhamma talk. So a private Buddha, Pacheka Buddha, he came to his house when he had just finished, when food was ready and he was just about to eat. Pacheka Buddha came to his house and stood before his house to receive dana, alms food. And when this man saw the Pacheka Buddha had come for alms food, he offered some food to him. And when the Pacheka Buddha left, he regretted for giving this dana to him, giving the food to him. He thought, why did I offer this dana to Pacheka Buddha? It's of no use. Instead I should have given it to my servants instead of offering it to the Pacheka Buddha. So he felt regretful. He regretted for offering the dana to the Pacheka Buddha. So in his next life, as a result of this dana offering, it is said that when you make offering to Pacheka Buddha, the fruit, the result is immense. And as a result of this dana offering made to the Pacheka Buddha, he was born again in a very rich family, and but he was very stingy. He would not give anything to others, nor he would use his wealth for himself. He would eat very poor food, and he would wear very poor quality clothes, and he was very, very stingy. Or even when he was when he used to be sick, he would not spend money for his treatment and so on. And suddenly he died. And then what happened to his wealth? His wealth was confiscated, is taken away by the king and distributed among the poor people. So, and why this man, even though he was very rich, he could not enjoy his wealth? What is the reason? The reason behind is that as a result of giving the dana to the Pacheka Buddha, he was born a very rich person. But because he regretted for giving that dana to the Bachika Buddha, he could not enjoy or appreciate the wealth, appreciate his wealth. So the this is what could happen, that if we are not giving dana out of joy, out of wisdom. So if you, as a result of your dana, you may be born rich, but it may not, the wealth will not be very useful for you. So that is what we have to keep in mind when we give dana. That is why the Buddha always encourage the dana giving. Whenever you give out of joy, give out of wisdom, so that you are born rich, you become rich, and you can also enjoy it, enjoy your wealth, enjoy your richness. So that is very important. And so there can be different motives behind giving. Some of the motives that I would like to share with you is, so you can check these, motives within yourself. Like when you give dana, what kind of motive you have? What motivates you to give dana? So I will share with you, and you can check with yourself. One gives with annoyance or as a way of offending the recipient, or with the idea of insulting him. So that is called asajja danam deti. The person may give just to insult others, insult the recipient, or just like for example, you know, if a beggar is asking something from you, and you throw a coin to him just to get rid of him. So that is like insulting the recipient. So one may give out of annoyance. You don't like the person being begged from you, so you out just to get rid of that person, you give something. So that is one motivation. And one may also give out of fear. This is called bhayadanam deti. One may, like, for example, one may give out of fear of being blamed as stingy, uh, because you are afraid that some may call you stingy or miserly. So just to show that you are broad-minded or you are generous, you give something to others. So that can be one motivation. Another motivation with which you give, and giving to return for a favor done to oneself in the past. Adasime iti danam deti. Somebody has done some favor to you, so in return you give something back to him or her. So that is one motivation, one kind of motivation. And giving with the expectation to receive a similar favor in the future. You give something to somebody with the expectation to receive similar help or support or favor from that person. And one gives because one thinks giving is good, so you feel good about giving, so you give it. Sadhu danam deti, and that is one motivation. And one may also give out of sympathy or altruistic motive, because you think that you think like I am rich, and there are some people who are poor, so it is not good to not to give when I'm rich and when I can give. So it's not good not to give when I have the capacity to give. So that can be one motivation. And one may also give to gain good reputation, to become famous, Like you want to be famous, you want to be um, praised and gain popularity. So you give dana for that, with that motivation as well. So some people give dana to adorn and beautify the mind. So that is to prepare for one's mind for enlightenment. Some people give dana uh, with the motive to beautify the mind, to purify the mind, and which simply means to prepare one's mind for enlightenment. Chitta alankara. So this is the um, highest kind of motivation. So these are some of the motivations with which we give dana. So all this giving is always admirable. It is always appreciated. It's always good. But you must also see what is the motive behind giving. So when you are trying to, when you want to purify your mind, from purify the mind from what? Purifying the mind from stinginess, from greed, or from selfishness. Then and thus one prepares one's mind for enlightenment. Then that is the highest form of highest form of motivation behind dana. So we must always practice dana with this motivation to beautify the mind. Chitta alankara danam deti. Chitta alankara danam deti. So now we must also understand the purpose of giving. The purpose of giving. So we give to overcome, basically to overcome our greed, or selfishness, or attachment, or clinging. Because the cause of suffering, as the Buddha mentions in the Fourth Truth, is nothing but tanha, or greed, or selfishness. So it manifests in different forms. So to reduce suffering, we have to go to its root. We have to overcome. And what is the root? The root is the greed, or attachment. So when we go to the root and overcome greed, the suffering will go away. Instead, happiness will appear. So that is why we give dana, to overcome greed, to fight greed. And this greed is wrapped with egoism and selfishness. And because of greed, there is egoism, there is selfishness. And as a result of that, we hold on to our personalities and possessions as I and mine and so on. And so that becomes the root of all the problems in life. So giving is the antidote, is the only antidote to fight greed, stinginess, egoism, and selfishness. So the Buddha says in the Dhammapada, Jine kadariyang dhanena, that is, if you want to overcome stinginess, miserliness, stinginess is it's a form of greed. So if you want to overcome stinginess, you have to do it by giving. Jine kadariyang dhanena, overcome miserliness by giving. So in another sutta, the Buddha compares giving with giving with a battle. In the Devata Samyutta, the Buddha compares giving with battle. He says, Dhanancha yuddhancha samanang aho. So giving is like, giving is like, if you are able to give, that means you have won a battle. So that means one has to fight when you want to give something. It doesn't happen on its own. You have to fight with the greed. You have to overcome the greed. Then only you will be able to give. So one has to fight with the evil force of greed before one can make one's mind to give something near and useful to oneself. So there's a story, a very interesting story in the Dhammapada. If you find it in Dhammapada, there was a man who used to, was very poor. He had just one piece of cloth. And wearing that one piece of cloth, he used to go to the Buddha, listen to the Dhamma. The Buddha, one day, as he was listening to Dhamma talk, the Buddha was giving Dhamma talk on Dana Katha. And he was so inspired, he wanted to give something, but he had nothing to give. So he had only this piece of cloth with him. So he thought about it. I have only one piece of cloth. If I give this, offer it to the Buddha, then I will not have anything to wear. So he thought about it, whether to give or not, and so on. He thought and thought. After he thought for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And then after a long time, thinking about it, whether to give or not, he was able to overcome he was able to overcome his attachment, or whatever you call it, to this only piece of cloth he had with him. So he finally decided to offer it to the Buddha. Straight away he went to the Buddha and offered it to the Buddha. And then he exclaimed, saying, I want it, I want it. So that means by offering this piece of cloth to the Buddha, which was only cloth left with him, he won the battle with the greed. So that is giving is not simple as it sounds. Not just giving away some external object. Before you could give something, you have to fight with your own greed and selfishness and so on. You have to overcome it. Then only you'll be able to make the giving. So now let us discuss about the recipient of the gift. So so far we have discussed about the motivation behind giving. So now we will discuss about the recipient of the gift. So who is worthy of receiving the gift? The purity of the recipient is another important factor which decides the result of the gift. It is said, worthier the recipient, greater the karmic fruit of dana. Worthier the recipient, greater the karmic fruit of dana. So who are worthy of gift now? The Buddha, of course, the Buddha is the highest worthy of gift. The Aryas are also worthy recipients of gift, and because Buddhas, Sammasambuddhas, Pachika Buddhas, and the Aryas, the Arhats, are worthy of gift. They are considered to be the recipient, worthiest recipients, because their minds are pure from defilements, because their minds are pure from attachments, I-ness and minus. That makes them worthy of the gift, highest or worthiest of gift. And those who are not enlightened, those who are striving on the path of Aryahood, those who are striving on the path of sainthood, they are also worthy of gift. And next, those who are following the 5 precepts or the 8 precepts, they are worthy of gift. The samanas, the brahmanas, the destitute, the poor, the wayfarers, wanderers, the beggars, even animals, the guests, the sick, old people. These are some of the, some of the list of the gift that can be given. And the King Kosala, King Pasenadi Kosala, asked the Buddha about dana, about whom should be given, dana should be given. So he asked the Buddha to whom the alms should be offered. And the Buddha's reply was that alms food or dana should be given to those by giving to whom one becomes happy. This is a very important point we have to note down. So to whom should one give now? That's very important, because now there are many, as I said, there are different kinds of different types of recipients now. It's difficult to find Buddha, worthiest of worthy recipient of dana. It's impossible to find a Buddha today for giving. It's not easy to find a Pachika Buddha. It's not easy to find an Arhat. And it's not easy to find the Aryas who are very worthy of dana, to receive dana. So then what should we do now? Should we stop giving? No. We have to give dana. But how do we decide to whom we should give? So the reply by the Buddha to the question put by King Kosala makes it very clear. Whom should we offer dana? We should offer dana to those by giving whom one becomes happy. That is very, very important. When you give a dana, you should be happy about giving it. If you are not happy, then the purpose of giving is not served. The purpose of giving is not served. You should be happy before giving, while giving, and after giving the gift. That's a very important point here. And the Sakka, the king of the god, he also asked the Buddha. He put a similar question to the Buddha. Gifts given to whom bring the greatest result? And the Buddha's reply was, the gifts given to the Sangha bears the greatest results. So we must understand what is Sangha now here. Very important now. Sangha means it's not, the Sangha means those who are enlightened disciples of the Buddha, and those who are unenlightened but who are striving on the path of enlightenment. So that constitutes Sangha, which may include both Upasakas, Upasikas, Bhikkhus and Bhikkhunis. So that constitutes the Sangha. They may be enlightened, Arhats, or they may be Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagamis, Arhat, who are still on the path of Arhatship. So when a dana is offered in the name of the Sangha, to the Sangha, or in the name of the Sangha, that dana bears great merit, great results. This was the answer given to the question put by the Sakka, to whom the gift should be given. What or gifts given to whom brings the greatest result? So in the Sangha Vandana, it is said that Sangha is the incomparable field of merit, Anuttar Punya Ketang. The fields have weed as their blemish. Punya Ketang, we have to understand this. Ketta, Kshetra. Kshetra means the field. So the Sangha is the incomparable field of merit. So how is Sangha incomparable field of merit? How Sangha is the incomparable field of merit? Just like fields have merits, just like fields have wheat as their blemish. Listen carefully. Just like the fields have wheat as their blemish, greed, lust, hatred, and delusion are the blemishes of the people. So, what is given to those who have eliminated them? The blemishes of greed, hatred, and delusion, and so on, will bear the greatest results. So basically, it amounts to the purity of the mind. Purity of the mind, when that brings the greatest result. Since the Sangha, renounce, who are striving to renounce, striving to overcome the blemishes of greed, hatred, and delusion, and since they are striving to purify their mind, or since they have already purified their mind, so that makes them the most worthy or worthiest of gift. So that is why the Sangha is the incomparable field of merit. That's why Buddha said the dana given to the Sangha bears the greatest merit. So let me tell you a story, short story, if you have time. Do we have time? Enough time?
Yes, Bante. Please go ahead.
Continue. Shall I continue?
Yes, Bante. Yes, Bante. Yes, Bante.
Okay. So let me share a story with you about the merits that come from offering dana to the Sangha, the community of monks and nuns and their disciples who are striving on the path of enlightenment. So there was, you must have heard about Venerable Sivali. Venerable Sivali. So during the time of Buddha Vipassi, he was a farmer, and there was a competition between the citizens and the king of the city to to see who could make the best offering. So citizens made all the arrangement for offering. They had arranged all the items for the offering to the Sangha, headed by the Buddha. There was only one item which they needed, and that was honey. They are searching for it, but they could not get it. So what they did was they sent messengers to different directions to find honey with a lot of money. Now, so these messengers went in different directions to look for honey, which was very much needed for to fulfill this offering to the Sangha headed by the Buddha. So one of the messengers met a man, a farmer, who was just coming from the jungle with a honeycomb. He was coming to the city to sell it. So when he met this person, he asked this person to sell it to him. But the man's, the man was not ready to sell it to him, because he thought that he may give him less money for it. He may not give the right price for it. So this messenger, he offered all the money to him, about it said 1,000 coins. He offered it to him for this honeycomb. And then when this money, so much money was offered to him, this man was surprised, and he asked him, like, this honeycomb is not worth it's not worth what you're offering. Like, it's a lot of money. So why do you need honey? Why you are paying so much money for this little honey? And this man said that we are offering a dana to the Sangha headed by the Buddha. And we have all the items for offering except honey. So we need honey, which is the last and the most important item. And without honey, the dana will not be accomplished. So then when this farmer heard this offering of dana to the Sangha, that this offering will be made to the Sangha and the Buddha, he was so inspired, and he said, I will not sell it. I don't want money for this honey. I will offer it to you. Please share merits with me. Please accept this honey as dana from my side. So he made this dana, and this grand competition of dana was finally done. And as a result of this dana, offering honey to the Sangha, this is very important word now, where the Sangha, this offering is made to the Sangha headed by the Buddha. This is the important point of the story here. This honey was offered to the Sangha now. So as a result of offering this honey to this Sangha, even though it was very little, he was born as celestial being in the celestial planes of existence for so many times, 100 times, and he was born as human being, as king in the human planes of existence for so many times, and finally he was, during the time of the present Buddha Gautama, he was born as a young man in Savatthi. He became a bhikkhu, and he was known as the Thera. He became a bhikkhu, and he became Arhat, and he was known as Thera Sivali. So you can see the merit of offering that little honey to the Sangha, including the Buddha, that produced a lot of merits. He was born so many times in divine planes of existence, in human planes of existence, and as a result of that, he got everything that he, a human being needs to live a happy life: food and shelter and medicine and all the basic needs. He received everything in every birth. So even it is said that one day the Sangha, the Bhikkhu Sangha of 500 monks, headed by the Buddha, they were on a journey in a deserted place, and there was no one to offer dana to him, no one to offer food, offer water, offer dana to the Sangha, because on the way there was no one living. So it is said that because of the result of this dana, even to this day, the result, that act of giving honey to the Buddha continued to produce result. So divine beings, it is said that divine beings appeared and they offered water and food to the Buddha and the monks. And even today, you must have seen in Buddhist countries, people give their statue and image of Sivali Bhante in their house, and they worship him, pay respect to him, and draw inspiration from Bhante Sivali. Even today, they remember Sivali Bhante as the, they believe that Sivali Bhante brings good luck or merit, or they think that it inspires them to give dana. So now, lastly, we will discuss a little bit about objects to be given. So we are discussing about three important things now: motivations for giving, the recipients of the gift, and objects to be. Now we will be discussing about the objects to be given. So what are the things that we can give? So there are three kinds of giving by way of objects to be given. Amisa dana, the material gift, 14 items are listed out that can be offered as charity, like robes, alms food, medicine, drinks, garments, vehicles, garlands, scents, beddings, dwelling places, lamps, etc. So these are some of the objects that amisa, or material gift, that we can give. And then there's abhaya dana, the gift of fearlessness. So that is, for example, buying animals from a slaughterhouse and releasing them to a safe place, or practice of loving kindness, compassion. That is also kind of giving abhaya dana, giving loving kindness. You're sharing loving kindness, you're sharing compassion, following the 5 precepts, especially the first precepts of not killing and non-violence. So that is giving the gift of fearlessness. Abhaya dana, one that is, it's not just it's not just abiding by some principles, moral principles, but it's also giving it's also a form of giving of fearlessness, and giving protection when someone is threatened by thieves, fire, water, enemies, or wild beasts, demons, etc. So chanting suttas, the monks chant suttas for the protection of for the protection, you know, when some people are, like, say, they are possessed by some ghost or by some demon, they're afraid of some ghost, the monks recite the protective suttas. So that is also one form of giving of abhayadana. And then the forgiveness, that is also abhaya, that is also form of giving, forgiveness, tolerance, being patient, practicing patience, sharing merits with others, consoling who are in distress. So these are different ways of practicing dana, abhaya dana. And there is the third kind of dana is dhamma dana, teaching or sharing the noble dhamma, teaching or sharing the noble dhamma to others. And this form of giving is the highest form of giving, because this leads to the purification of the mind. This leads towards enlightenment. Dhamma dana, dhamma dana. All other things like food and shelter and all other things that you make are maybe temporary, or may not last, may not benefit the receiver for too long. It may not, these things, worldly material gifts will not liberate the recipient from the dukkha, from the kleshas. These are all just temporary support that we can give. But giving of dhamma, that helps the recipient to develop on the path of Shila, Samadhi, and Panya, and ultimately attain enlightenment, Nibbana. So that is why it is considered to be the highest form of giving. And those who don't teach or are not qualified to do Dhamma Dana, what they can do is they can, donate for translation or publication of Dhamma books or printing of Dhamma books. They can contribute, for translating Dhamma books or for publication of Dhamma books and for distribution of Dhamma books, which helps to promote the Dhamma to reach to the people. And also, one can also discuss about Dhamma informally and encourage others to practice the 5 precepts, or one can encourage others to take up meditation retreats and so on. And one can also give dana to run a meditation center. And one can also assist or help support to a meditation teacher to promote the Dhamma. So these are different ways of different ways and different objects that one can give. And one can also contribute towards the building of new temple or shrine. One can contribute to make Buddha statues and to distribute in the temples, different temples and so on, which we are doing in the name of Balabantaji to celebrate the birth centenary of the Buddha. We are making the Buddha statues, and about 100, I think, more than 100 Buddha statues, and distributing in different monasteries and all over India. So one can contribute in that way also. So these are different dana of religious nature. These are dana of religious nature. Now, there are some mundane gifts includes, which like contribution towards welfare organization, contribution to a hospital, public library, and maintaining a park or public area neat and clean. Or one can contribute by physical labor, participating in some useful activity, and so on. So dana can be given according to one's own, means and capacity. It is said that dana, according to, given according to one's little resources, are considered to be most valuable. In one of the sutta, Buddha says. So this does not mean when the question comes, what can we give? What can we give? Like some people say, we don't have anything, any material, we have no money, nothing to give. So people like make excuses. So there are different ways, hundreds. If you have the wish, there are 100 ways of giving. And it's not that that giving is like some amount or some object which is fixed for giving. So one can give anything and according to one's own capacity, depending on what one can give. And that is why in one of the suttas, the Buddha says, gifts given according to one's little resources are considered to be most valuable. If it is righteously earned. So the importance of giving can be seen, very more effective or more valuable when one gives something from one's own little resource. One may not be very rich. One may not have too many things or too much to give. But whatever one has, when he or she shares with others. So that kind of dana is most valuable. Buddha says, Appasma dakina dinna sahasena samangita. So it comes into Samyutta Nikaya. It's a very, very important point now. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, I have to give like lot of money or lot of things or big things or grand things, in a big way and so on. What is important is that, even it is little, if you give it with a good heart, if you give it with good motivation, so that is considered to be most valuable, the Buddha says here in this sutta. So in another sutta, the Buddha says, the Buddha explained once, explained that it is meritorious act even to throw away the water after washing one's plate with a generous thought. I think it is clear. It is a meritorious act even to throw away the water after washing one's plate with a generous thought. What kind of thought? May the particles of food in the washing water be food to the creatures on the ground. So even if you are washing your plate and then some particles of food is left, and if you throw that, water after washing the plate, if you throw it with the generous thought, with the thought that may these particles of food left in the washing water be useful or be helpful to the creatures on the ground. So even if with this thought you wash your plate, even that is an act of giving. So the Buddha says, what if that is so, then how much more meritorious it is to feed a human being. To feed a human being. If that is the case, how much more meritorious it is to feed a human being or a virtuous person. So this is a very important point to remember. So everything ultimately boils down to the motivation with which one gives. So the manner of giving, so we discussed about different kinds of motivation and the recipients and the objects that can be given. So another important factor that we have to remember is manner of giving. So in the manner of giving, some important things that we must keep in mind is one must give with faith or respectfully. One must give on time. On time means when the need is the most, when the need is when the required. When one gives carefully, when one gives with genuine concern for others, and one gives skillfully or with wisdom, knowing what is useful and what is harmful. So these are, some important points of regarding the manner of giving. So the benefits of giving, let us now conclude with the benefits of giving. So it is very important now. So we have discussed about dana. So what is its benefit now? That is very important. This benefit, if you understand the benefits of dana, that will motivate you to give dana. Unless you understand the benefits of giving, one may not be motivated to give. The Buddha says, monks, if people knew as I know the result of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given all, nor would they allow this, stand of niggardliness to obsess them and take root in their minds. Even if it were the last morsel, their last mouthful, they will not eat without having shared it. So the Buddha says, if you know the result of giving, as I know it, then you will not eat having shared it with others, even if it is the last morsel. So that is the benefit of giving here. The Buddha understands the result of the benefit of giving. The person who gives wins sympathy and support from others in times of difficulty. And he wins admiration and praise from good people. Good reputation spreads about him or her. He is confident under all circumstances. The giver is confident under all circumstances. Whenever he recollects about giving, whenever he recollects about that act of giving, he rejoices and he is happy. So this is very important now. And by giving, one promotes social harmony. One bridges the psychological gap and economical gap. He lives happily in this life, and after death, he is reborn in Sugati, either in human or divine planes of existence. So these are the benefits of giving. Another important benefit of giving is as explained to Vesaka Mata by the Buddha. The Buddha asked Vesaka Mata, but Vesaka Mata, as you know, she was the benefactress among lay female devotees. He was the chief supporter among lay female devotees. So he was known for giving dana. He even built Pupparama monastery in Savatthi. for the guest monks. Whoever would come to Savatthi, they would stay in Puparama, and Vesaka Mata would take care of them. So one day the Buddha asked her why she likes to give, why she enjoys giving. So what are the benefits of giving? So she explains to the Buddha that when I give dana, it gives rise to rapture, and rapture gives rise to joy in me. When I give dana, the dana gives rise to rapture in me, and the rapture gives rise to joy, piti. Rapture is pamoja, piti is joy. And when I experience joy in myself, the joy relaxes my body. Parisamvediti. It relaxes my body. And when my body relaxes, a sense of ease, so sukha arises in me. And thus it leads to the arising of the factors of enlightenment. What does it mean now? It means the dana is not just simple giving. Dana is gradually leads to the arising of the factors of enlightenment, which leads to freedom from suffering, which leads to attainment of nibbana. So that is the impact of giving. That is the benefit of giving now. It's not just giving. We don't give simply to be, to be reborn in Devaloka, or to be reborn rich or famous, on, so on. So as Mother Visakha explains here, giving leads to from rapture to joy, and joy to sukha, and sukha to concentration, and concentration to arising of the 7 factors of enlightenment. Ultimately it leads to enlightenment. So that is the goal of giving. And so in one of the suttas, in a sutta called Velama Sutta, here the Buddha says, there was a person, he conducted lavish alms giving. He organized a lavish alms giving. He gave away silver, gold, elephants, cows, carriages, etc. Not to mention of food, drink, and clothing. But his dana was not very valuable as far as the merit was concerned, because there was no worthy recipient, it is said. So at the end, the Buddha said in the suttas, we will not go through the whole sutta. So at the end, a very important point the Buddha says is that it is said to be more meritorious to feed one person with right view, a stream enterer, a sotapanna, that means a stream enterer, sotapanna, than to give great alms such as that given by Velama. It is more meritorious to feed one's returner than to feed 100 stream enterer. So next in the order comes like non-returner, Arhats, Pachika Buddhas, Samma Sambuddhas, the Sangha headed by the Buddha, feeding the Buddha alone. Even more meritorious is to construct a monastery. So the Buddha is saying that, even more meritorious than giving gifts to the Aryas and Arhats and Pachika Buddhas, Samma Sambuddha, is to build a monastery. That is far better to building a monastery for the monks and supporting their cause. The practice of Dhamma is far better than giving gifts to the Pachika Buddhas and Samma Sambuddhas and the Sangha and so on. Then further the Buddha says, this is a very important point, still better it is to take refuge still better it is to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So constructing a monastery, it's a great dana, but even better than that is taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And even better than this is following the 5 precepts. Taking and following the 5 precepts is more valuable than just taking refuge in the Buddha and Dhamma and Sangha. Further, the Buddha explains, better still is the cultivation of metta, loving kindness. So that means cultivation of loving kindness is more important than taking precepts and following them. So you can see the importance of practicing of metta. That's why we are asked to practice metta bhavana every day. And the last point, which is very, very important, is that the best of all that I have just explained is the insight, is the development of the insight into impermanence, which leads to nibbana. The best of all giving. So then let us conclude here, with this. The best of all giving is the insight, cultivation of the insight into impermanence. Because you may give, like recipient may be great, and the objects that you may give may be great, but still, if you do not understand the importance of impermanence, that things are changing and things will change at the end. Nothing is going to remain the same. There's no self. How much dana you give, how greatly you organize it, it will be of little use. So whatever you give, the best of all the giving is to practice insight into the impermanence which leads to nibbana. So very difficult to take part with our possessions and the things that we are attached to, the things with the near and dear ones. Very, very difficult to let go and take part with all the possessions, and so on. So because our attachment is very strong, but when we die, even though it is very difficult to take part with these things, when we die, we don't take anything with us. We have to leave everything behind. So when life is very short, though it may seem very long, but it's very short, it's very unpredictable. So we must seize the opportunity to give dana. We must seize the opportunity to practice dana in this life, which will become a condition, a pachaya for good rebirth and further progress on the path of Dhamma. So with these words, I will conclude my Dhamma talk here. May you be happy. May these words of Dhamma be beneficial to you. May these words of Dhamma become the condition for your attainment of wisdom. May you enjoy good health and peace of mind. May you progress on the path of Nibbana. May you be happy in life.
Thank you very much, Bhante, and we are so grateful for your Dhammadana today, for the Dhammadesna that you have given to us. I have opened up the forum for question and answer. So, Bante, do we have time to take few questions, Bante?
Yeah.
Okay,
Please
Bante.
go on.
Yes, Bante. Yeah. So your first question is, what if we have given dana with good heart, but recipient not using it for good purposes?
That is, as I said, the motivation is very important now. Even motivation is very important. If you give dana with good heart, that means you have a good motivation. But the recipient may not appreciate it. So that is, I think, we have no control over it. Sometimes recipients may appreciate it. Sometimes they may not. Sometimes they may not even say thank you. But it doesn't matter as long as our motivation is pure, clear, based on joy, based on giving dana chitta, based on wisdom. As long as the motivation is good, the result will be equally good. It will not go wasted.
Thank you,
So
Bante.
don't worry about the recipient. If you don't get a good recipient, don't worry about that. You go on giving dana with a good heart. Do not stop giving dana because you don't have a good recipient. Do not stop giving because people don't appreciate your dana.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, in the same question, Bante, that if the person that you have donated to and with a good heart, but we later come to know that he's a greedy person, what would be the kamma here?
So can you repeat that question?
So Bante, we offer dana with happy mind to a person, but came to know afterward that he is a greedy person. What happens to the kamma? What happens to the results here?
Yeah. So after later on, when you come to know about that person, that he's greedy person, right? You said
Yes,
greedy.
Bante.
Greedy. Yeah, greedy person. I think that is, as I said just now, it is, we have no control over that, control over the external situation, the person maybe at that time when you were giving, that person was good. Or at least he was behaving in a good way. At that time when you were giving, or before giving, or while you were giving, at least you were happy. Happy that you are giving to a good person. You are happy that you are giving the right thing. That is important. The motivation while giving, that is very important now. Afterwards, you come to know about that person, that is a greedy person or whatever. I think we don't have to worry about that, because people may change. They don't remain the same thing. But what is important is when you are giving, you gave it with a pure heart, with a good heart. And so that is important, and you must recollect that, when you are giving, like your intention was pure. That is very important, that when you were giving, your intention was pure.
Okay, thank you, Bante. Bante, what happens to the merits? Do we get merits, or what happens to the giving when we just keep on giving without aspiring anything?
When you keep on giving, that kind of giving, it's may become, it's called habitual karma. It will turn into habitual karma, some kind of repetitive karma. So it will also produce result, no doubt, but it will not be very effective. in producing the results that that is that is expected. So when you give, you must always give with wisdom. That's very important factor while giving. You are aware, you have to be aware of the gift and aware of about the law of karma, aware of law of karma and effect. That this gift, this dana is a wholesome karma, and this wholesome karma will definitely produce good result. So we should give with complete confidence or conviction in the law of karma and effect. So that is something very important when we give. Otherwise, the giving will become mechanical or habitual, and it may not be very effective, and it will not produce the desired results. So next time when you give with full awareness of the law of karma and effect, that this is a good karma and it will produce good results, and it will even lead to enlightenment.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Bhante, you talked about Nibbana or enlightenment, but aspiring for Nibbana is also desire. So what does it carry? Or so does it carry less merit if dana is given unintentionally compared to that we are aspiring that this dana may bring me to Nibbana?
Yeah, that is also kind of desire. It is also kind of desire. It's also not in normal sense, in usual sense, desire in usual sense, but you can call it, we call it aspiration, wish or aspiration, and in the Dhamma terms, we call it Dhamma Chanda. Dhamma Chanda, which is the desire, wishing for freedom from dukkha, wishing for the ultimate happiness. Because when you wish for Nibbana, is not to become something or to become somebody, to get, there's no I, because I have to attain Nibbana. Ultimately, you have to give up this I-ness, realizing this is just, conventional term, which we use for the sake of convenience. So when we wish for the Nibbana, there's not actually, in strictly speaking, there's nothing, you are not, no one is achieving something. There's no I who is achieving something, getting something. Actually, it is giving up. It's not achieving. It is giving up of the I-ness, self or atta. That is one way of looking at it. And regarding this desire, this is known as, it's not the usual desire, normal, which we understand it normally. It is called Dhamma Chanda, that leads to enlightenment.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, Buddhadatta, you can add to it if you like.
Bhante, I think what you said is just the right thing. You just said correctly. You said Dhamma Chanda, yes, it's a Kushala Chanda. It cannot be termed as craving or greed, because we are aspiring for going the conditioned world, going beyond the worldly existence. So once we go to Nibbana, it's absolutely no trace of craving or ignorance or greed or such stuff, all sorts of things. So in that sense, when you aspire for the ultimate goal, you have to go through this process. You have to offer dana, keeping in mind that I will attain that ultimate goal. So all these greed, hatred, and delusions, that is pertaining to the world here. But Nibbana is, there is nothing in this world. It's going beyond of greed. That means non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. Yes, Bhante. Thank you, Bante.
One important thing here you must remember while giving is that when we say that we should aspire for nibbana and nothing else, it doesn't mean that we don't wish to be born in Sugati, we don't wish to be wish to be born in the divine planes of existence. It doesn't mean that we don't wish to be gaining these benefits of Ayu, Vanna, and Sukham Balam. You can wish for them. You can wish for being born in human planes of existence, being born in celestial planes of existence, or being born as Brahma. You can surely wish to be happy in the next life. You can surely wish to be rich in the next life. You can surely wish to be beautiful, handsome in the next life. But what you have to do is, at the same time, you have to wish that may these worldly benefits, become condition for the attainment, enlightenment. You can wish, oh, may by the power of this dana, may I be born as a divine being in my next life. You can wish for that. There's nothing wrong in it. But at the same time, you have to wish that may this rebirth in the Sugati, in the divine planes of existence become the condition for the attainment of Nibbana. Then that will lead you towards Nibbana. You will not be distracted in the samsara. You have to keep that in mind.
Yes, Bante. And this is all a process of enlightenment. You cannot attain enlightenment just in one life. You have to keep on building the merits, keep on fulfilling the perfection, life after life. So rightly said, Bante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, Bante. Bante, the next question is, what happens when you donate to other priests who do good work? Does it gain good merit? When we donate to other priests.
When you donate to?
Other priests. Yeah, who do good work. Does it gain good merit, Bante?
Of course, no doubt about it. I just explained about it. If you don't find a Buddha to receive your dana, if you don't find a Arhat to receive your dana, if you don't find Arya to receive your dana, or if you don't find a monk to, it is better to, offer to give dana to the priest. It will also bring results. No doubt about it.
Bante, watering plants, does it constitute a dana? Or whether feeding venomous snake with milk or anything like that, will that constitute a dana? If you are feeding a dangerous animal, a venomous snake, like a snake which is gonna be very venomous, will it with milk or anything like that, will it constitute a dana, Bante? If you are feeding animals who are dangerous.
Yeah, of course. It depends on feeding animals is good. It is dana. It amounts to dana only.
How about watering? What about watering plants, Bante?
Yeah, this is also dana. Dana in the sense that your motivation is giving. But if you look at it from the point of recipient,
no, I think we lost Bante Panyarakita. We'll have to wait for him to rejoin. Or his audio is lost.
Right, Pankaji,
he is there, Bante. Yeah, we lost his audio.
He rejoined, I guess. But that questions, in relation to that questions, I could just give this much explanation, very short, that yes, it is merit to feed the cows or the birds or animals, or even any living beings, even the plant. It does bring merits. But giving to the virtuous person, giving to the human beings or the Sangha or the virtuous people, giving to not necessarily the monks or to the Buddhist monks or so, anyone who follows the virtues, who follow the path of purification, and those who are striving for, on the path of Dhamma, it surely brings sort of merit. in compared to those feeding to animals or plants.
Sadhu Bante, Sadhuvad. Bante, should we continue with question answer, Bante? Would you take a few while Bante is trying to, okay, Bante is connected with audio now. Bante Panya Rakita, are you able to hear us, Bante?
Yes. Yeah, Bante is now back. I think. But we would take one last question, Pankajji.
Okay, Bante, yeah. Bante,
Bante Panya is on mute now. But yeah, Bante.
Bante,
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
so
Bante.
I was explaining about the question, answering the question to giving whether this watering plant is dana or not. Yeah, if you see, it is dana. If you see from the, from the, in terms of, if you see it in terms of motivation, when you're watering, your motivation is to give, to help the plant, to sustain or to, to grow. Motivation is to give. From that point of view, it is dana. Even though the recipient, is not, is a, it's a plant. It's a plant. It's a non-living thing, right? So it is also a form of dana. We are giving. The motivation is to give.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, this would be the last question. There are quite a few questions here, Bante, but we will try to answer those via some additional videos. But this question is important. Like after offering dana, we should be sharing merits. How do we do that after or before giving dana or offering at the time of offering dana? What should be the way that we should make aspirations?
Yeah, the sharing of merit it itself is giving. It's also dana. So sharing of merit is done at the end of, at the end of at the end of some wholesome karma. At the end of the gift is given. So if you find a monk who can help you out, that is good. But if you don't find a monk, if you're alone, if you don't know the, if you don't know this, this formal way of sharing by chanting this Pali gathas, what you can do is you can simply make a wish. You can, number one is you have to recollect the gift that you have given. You have to recollect it, and you should feel happy about it, happy about, being given that gift. And after doing that, you have to clearly remember the person whom you want to share this merit with. And after that, you have to make the aspiration that whatever merit I have earned today by this act of giving or whatever, may this merit reach to that person, and may this merit conduce to the good health or longevity or prosperity or happiness or progress on the path of Dhamma. May it conduce a lot of merits to that person. So you can wish sincerely. You may not, if that person is leaving, you can remember his face, his or her face. If that person is still alive, you can remember the his or her face. If that person is no more, then you can simply just, remember that person. No need to remember that face as such. You can just remember you can just remember that person, good deed of that person, the image of that person, then you can dedicate this merit. Because you don't need to remember the face of that person, because that person, like if is no more, if then he may have like already taken rebirth in some other plane of existence, or he may have different form. So there's no like meaning in visualizing his or her face. So you can straight away just wish that may this merit reach to that person wherever he is, in Devaloka or human world planes of existence, or in the lower planes of existence. And may, if this person is in the higher planes of existence, already in the higher planes of existence, if that person is already happy, may he become even more happy. If this person is in a difficult situation in lower planes of existence, if this person is not happy, may this person come out that lower planes of existence and be born in the higher planes of existence. Like that, you can wish.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
Bhavatu sabba mangala kantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sudasati bhavantu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.